Battery storage technologies store energy for later use. They allow energy to be saved and utilized when needed, improving the efficiency and reliability of energy systems. Here, we are taking highlights from previous guests on the Reimagined Energy podcast, starting with Lion Electric, whose electric school buses can provide battery storage when not in use. There's Dr. Michael Metzger, who is part of a world renowned team that studies advanced battery systems in their lab. Then there's Ravi Gade, who reconditions and recycles end of life batteries and gives them new life. Here's a recap of the conversations about battery storage. So I was thinking the other day, during the school year, a lot of bus drivers, and I know it's like that in Atlantic, Canada. I don't know what it's like in other parts, but some school bus drivers keep their buses at home, parked in their driveways when they're not used, and then in the summer months they're stored elsewhere. How would those drivers need to have special charging in place, or will it be a central place where they all charge?
It truthfully depends on the jurisdiction and the length of the routes. All over Canada and the United States, where we have buses in service, and we have about 1,200-ish electric school buses in service, so we know what we're doing. We've done both. Centralized depots are fantastic for urban and suburban and peri-urban environments, where it's not a far ride for a bus driver to go from their house or from their apartment or condo to their depot to pick up a bus. It also centralizes and ensures that the infrastructure requirements are one shot. That means if you're a company who owns these buses, you now have one singular point of contact and control over your infrastructure. We have also deployed electric vehicle charging, typically AC charging, to people's homes, because DC charging is typically requires a wider amount of infrastructure, and that's simply not going to be acceptable in someone's home. So we can do that. However, it is becoming less and less frequent in the industry, not just with Lion customers, as buses move towards DC charging systems. And with the higher infrastructure requirements, that typically necessitates a depot charging model. However, we very much do both, and we're doing both today.
That's wonderful. So you could use seawater, or it could be mined. Like there's different ways you can get the sodium.
Yep.
Is all sodium the same, I guess? Like, is there's certain ways that it can be best applied here?
Yeah, so the advantage is really that, lithium is a very localized resource. You can mostly find it in South America, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. It's a so-called lithium triangle. And then you need to refine the lithium into battery grade lithium hydroxide, lithium carbonate. That mostly happens in China. And then battery manufacturing happens in different places of the world. But sodium, you can basically find it anywhere, right? And you can very easily refine it too into battery grade sodium carbonate, sodium hydroxide. And that just makes it a lower cost, more sustainable resource, which alleviates also some of these supply chain challenges. If you need to look for a particular resource only in one part of the world, then ship it all around the world to be refined and so on. That's, of course, not a very good situation, right? And with sodium, you can circumvent this.
And then there's the other side with sodium ion compared to lithium. You were telling me earlier that the size is different. Like you have to pack more into the battery. It's a big battery right now. It needs to be a little bit more compact.
Yeah.
That's what you're working on?
Yeah, basically the keyword here is energy density again.
Right.
So, the sodium ion batteries have generally a lower energy density than lithium ion batteries, which means if you have a limited amount of volume, for example, in an electric vehicle, it's more the volume than the weight, which constrains the battery. So in that limited volume, you want to pack as much energy as you can. So if you do that with high energy density lithium ion batteries, you can have a longer driving range. But, in fact, I'm just coming back from a research conference in China, And over there, sodium-ion batteries are really on the rise. And for urban mobility, for example, in e-scooters, or for shorter range electric vehicles for a mega city environment, sort of, where people don't drive that far, sodium-ion batteries can be a really attractive technology. And we are also working on improving the energy density, so that comes at least sort of into the maybe 80-90% range of what the energy density of lithium-ion battery is.
What other uses are there for reconditioned batteries, that have reached the end of their life?
So when we kind of take as a EV battery as an example, once it is end of life, it is not really end of life, because it can be used in for say, for example, energy storage systems. So once the battery kind of comes out of from an EV car, it is then moved to work as a backup in energy storage systems, and where it can have another 5 to 10 years exponentially. But in case of the damaged batteries, we cannot use them in any energy storage or any other applications. So we kind of immediately take that and we recycle them immediately.
Wow. Is it true that mined batteries will eventually not be as good as recycled ones? Like, will the recycled ones potentially be better?
Exactly, you are very right, Maria.
Yeah.
And there has been a number of studies on this particular topic, mainly within Dalhousie University, and a lot of universities in US have been studied in this. And in our Dalhousie University, they have particularly studied this paper where second life metals coming out of this recycled batteries will perform better when used in new batteries, and batteries also can have a longer life than using the virgin metals coming out from the mining itself. So as we go into future, there will be building longer life batteries with this recycled materials.
What about job opportunities and future trends for the students that you work with? What do you see it looking like in the renewable energy sector?
So the renewable energy field globally and in Canada, and in that I would also add the energy efficiency sector and all these skills and jobs related to the transition to low or net zero carbon, is essentially a rapidly growing field. So in general, there are lots of opportunities. There are lots of jobs for folks with technical skills. There's lots of startup companies, lots of new activity, and more established companies kind of adjusting their mandates to fit the ongoing changes in the reality of decarbonization. It's I see it as a lot of opportunity, and for the most part, folks who are graduating in fields like electrical engineering technology, electrical energy sustainability engineering technology, they're basically often they're hired before they're graduated. So it's a pretty active field right now.
SimPower, you also talk, we talked earlier about batteries as well in an earlier conversation, and energy storage systems, and they help smooth out, the intermittency of renewable energy sources like solar and wind. What are your thoughts on selling power from batteries back into the grid?
I mean, especially in Sweden, we've seen a big rise of that in the later years. I think the number of participating batteries in terms of megawatts has increased from like 40, 50 by the beginning of this year to several hundreds. We see there's a big boom coming. I mean, we see it as a good complement. I think we should really look into using the already existing equipment out there, like
Mhm.
coming from industries, but then combining that with the swiftness and the reaction speed from batteries. So I think that both can serve a purpose, and I think there's a really good opportunity to say work with co-location and batteries. So putting up battery parks next to windmills or solar parks in order to at least move the power and the energy over a couple of hours.
Hmm.
Plus, we see that batteries can be extremely finely tuned, so we know that they can react really smooth to frequency disturbances, because that's mainly what we're following. Whilst a big melter, as we talked about earlier, can be quite quick, but not as quick. And I mean, the step we can control a melter in is it's huge compared to how small of a deviation you can run with the battery. We like combinations.
There's an interesting, there's an increasing demand for niche off-grid battery storage. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because it's, you were mentioning about super yachts and about, these compact, or RVs even, they need to have some battery storage that's off-grid.
Yes and no. It's kind of a convenience thing. And also, Elon Musk has done a great job of making batteries sexier than they've ever been.
He did, yeah.
So there isn't really too much new, although lithium-ion batteries have been making great progress, and costs have been coming down to allow people to afford, not always, because it's still expensive, generally speaking, but it does make these conveniences, modern day conveniences that people like to have, such as being able to make their own coffee, a cup of coffee, if they're in their RV or boat somewhere out in the wilderness off grid. Same with if you're have an off grid cottage. People like their conveniences, coffees and devices, charging their phones. So there's a little opportunity right there. And again, Elon Musk has made batteries very sexy. There's a whole wave and finally a stronger community sense of urgency towards renewable energy adoption. I've been around it for decades, but really only in the past, 10 years has it kind of become cool. And then with that, greater adoption, greater economies of scale of production of these products, and then making everything gradually a little bit more accessible financially, so that someone has an RV or cottage or boat, whatever, they can install a little system, or if they have more money, get a little bit more fancy to, I don't know, run their Starlink and big screen TVs and heat pumps and whatnot. And again, all the way up to, say, a full-on eco resort where they're endeavoring to power everything, all the island's infrastructure, water makers, air conditioning, 100% with solar power, with a backup generator. But the design criteria is to aim for 100% solar power. But of course, you never know what Mother Nature is going to throw at you, so it's good to have some backup source.
Well, when someone is, how do you determine how much energy is needed for charging off the grid? Let's say, if you had a cottage or an RV, and you how do you determine how much they need? Because they can have too many panels or not enough.
Sure.
And probably the other way around of not having enough panels to charge everything up.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and that's the primary question I'll ask anybody that is endeavoring to do anything off-grid, whether it's small, medium, large. What do you want to power? What are your objectives? And then how long do you want to power that? Then, okay, do you have a backup energy source? Are you okay with putting a small system in and potentially running out of energy, or having a backup generator then boost bump up the energy, the battery energy if it gets low? Or do you need to size the system larger because you have very critical energy needs and you can't afford to lose power? So I'll typically send out a worksheet.
Questionnaire. Yeah.
Not so much questionnaire. I just have a template energy worksheet with a whole bunch of appliances and estimated power consumption, estimated runtime. But this is going to vary for every single person and every appliance. So I kind of leave it up to them. I say the better idea you can give me of your energy needs by filling this worksheet out to the best of your ability, the more accurate we can be in sizing a system for you to meet your goals. If some of the information is unclear, then there's nothing I can really do about that other than I can say at the end of the day what we can typically expect from a solar system, and then how much energy you could store in this battery bank, and approximately how long that might last you. But you never know what Mother Nature is going to do totally, but I can overall do some fairly good estimation of the energy that can be produced. It's up to the individual to determine how that energy is used, and I have no control of that. So I just try to work with them. It tends to be a bit of an educational stepping stone for everybody, because most of us are not aware of the energy we consume. We're pretty fortunate to have such energy ignorance, to be honest. And so it's a bit of a learning curve for everyone, and a bit of a, for some people, it's a bit of a nuisance to go through that. People are busy. They don't want to look at all their appliances and think about how much do I use this. But if you do that, then it helps to really narrow down what is a suitable system, and then go from there.
What are the advantages and disadvantages between green hydrogen and lithium-ion batteries?
I think that both of them they have some advantages. In my opinion, I think that lithium-ion exactly will stay for many years in portable. In portable devices, and like mobile phones or laptops or something like that, and such devices, number of such devices is increasing all time, and but for transportation, I mean cars, trucks, factories, I think that green hydrogen is better solution. Why? Lithium-ion batteries are seems to be cheaper, but it is not exactly for transportation. It is cheaper for mobile phone. You need a small battery, it's okay. But to got power for car or for truck, you need several thousand grams, so several kilograms of lithium, and it is not then so expensive, so cheap like it is usually in audience thought.
So you're saying it's best applied for trains or airplanes, large.
Yes, I think for even for planes, they are planning to use hydrogen, but lithium-ion will probably stay, I believe, many years for portable devices, because sodium ion is also developed, but not enough to be mass commercialized. Absolutely. And another interesting thing I learned recently, lithium is abundant. It is said that it is abundant. There is a lot of lithium in earth core. However, half of lithium should be, must be even remain for mental diseases organic causes like schizophrenia, the bipolar disorder, the medicines are based on lithium, and it is absolutely needed for such purpose, because of that we cannot use all lithium to power car and to leave people without medicines.
The race is on to find better solutions to our reliance on lithium-ion batteries with better, faster, and safer options. What are your thoughts on today's episode? Drop us a note at reimaginedenergy.com. In the meantime, I'm your host, Maria McGowan, and thanks for listening.